Hey guys, tonight we're not just talking about history, we're stepping into it. Not as observers, not as tourists, but as participants. You don't get preparation, you don't get training, you don't get comfort. You just wake up. In the middle of it, the Silk Road, a place people like to romanticize, trade, adventure, discovery. But that's not what it feels like from the inside. From the inside, it feels like survival. So before we begin, take a second to like the video and subscribe. Only if you genuinely enjoy this kind of content. Now, dim the lights, let the room go quiet, maybe turn on a fan. For that soft, constant hum, because tonight, you're not watching a story, you're living it, and it starts like this. You wake up not slowly, not peacefully, not comfortably. You wake up because your body refuses to continue whatever you were just doing. Your back hurts, not in a mild, I slept wrong kind of way, more like your spine is reconsidering its long-term commitment to you. You don't even open your eyes immediately, because for a second, you try to pretend you're somewhere else. Your bed, your room, your normal life. But then reality arrives, quietly, unapologetically. The ground beneath you is hard, uneven, unforgiving. Your bed is a thin blanket stretched over terrain that feels like it was designed by someone with a personal grudge against comfort. You try to move, bad decision. Your body responds instantly, every muscle stiff, every joint protesting. You are not waking up. You are recovering, and you haven't even stood up yet. Your mouth is dry, not slightly dry, not I could use some water. No, this is different. This is the kind of dry where your tongue feels heavier than it should, where swallowing feels unnecessary. Because there's nothing to swallow, you run your tongue across your teeth, regret it immediately, and before you even fully sit up, a thought crosses your mind. You miss your old life, not in a dramatic way. Not in a I made a terrible mistake kind of way, just quietly. Your bed, your routine, your ability to wake up without pain being the first thing you notice. Even your problems, you miss those too. And that's when you open your eyes and reality becomes impossible to ignore. Welcome to your first morning on the Silk Road. You sit up slowly, not because you want to, but because gravity and discomfort have reached an agreement. The light is soft, early morning, just before the sun fully rises. For a moment, it almost looks peaceful, and then the sound hits you. Not one sound, many camels, low, heavy groans like they're deeply unhappy with their current situation. Which they are, voices, loud, fast, constant, a language you don't understand, movement everywhere, people walking, lifting, packing, preparing, no hesitation, no wasted time. Everything is already in motion, and then it hits you. You don't understand anything, not one word. Someone nearby is speaking, pointing, gesturing. Maybe they're explaining something important. Maybe they're asking you to move. Maybe they're annoyed you're still sitting there doing nothing. You don't know. So you do the only thing you can do. You nod, confidently, like someone who absolutely understands what's going on, like someone who belongs here. You don't. And deep down, you know it, but there's no time to process that because something is placed in your hand. Bread, if you're being generous. You could call it food. Dense, dry, heavy. You look at it, it looks back. You take a bite and immediately realize something important. This isn't a meal. This is a challenge. It doesn't break easily. It doesn't cooperate. It doesn't care if you enjoy it. It exists for one reason: to keep you functioning. Barely, you chew slowly. Mostly because you have no choice. Then comes the meat. You pause, you look at it, carefully, trying to answer a few important questions. What is it? How long has it existed? And should you be asking these questions? You decide not to, because out here, curiosity is optional. Survival is. Then water. You bring it to your lips, take a small sip. It's warm, of course it is. There is nothing refreshing about this experience. You pause for a second, and then you drink again. Because here's the thing, your preferences don't matter anymore. And just when you think you might get a moment to adjust, to sit, to process, the caravan starts moving. No announcement, no signal, no get ready. It just leaves, and that's when you learn your first real lesson. This doesn't wait for you. You hesitate for half a second, just half, that's enough. Because when you look up again, people are already ahead of you. You stand quickly, too quickly. Your body disagrees, but it doesn't matter. You grab what little you have and start walking. At first, it feels manageable. It's just walking. You've done this before, you've walked for hours, you've even enjoyed it. That confidence lasts about 10 minutes, and then reality corrects you. The ground is uneven, hard, dry, every step lands slightly wrong. Your feet start to notice, then complain, then protest, and then comes the sand. At first it's subtle, a little inside your shoe, annoying but manageable, then more and more, until it's everywhere, between your toes, inside your clothes, in places you didn't think sand could reach. You try to ignore it, you fail, because the more you walk, the worse it gets. And here's the part that really matters. No one else reacts, no one slows down, no one complains, and that's when it clicks. This isn't a journey, it's a system. And you are not important to it. You are part of it, and parts can be replaced. You keep walking. At first you tell yourself it's fine, it's just distance, just time, just movement, but the road doesn't feel like distance. It feels like repetition. Step, step, step. Same ground, same horizon, same silence stretching endlessly in front of you. And then the sun rises. Not dramatically, not all at once, slowly, quietly, almost gently. At first it feels good, warmth on your skin, light spreading across the land. For a moment, you almost appreciate it. You think, maybe this won't be so bad. That thought doesn't last long, because the sun keeps rising, higher, stronger, heavier, until something changes. The warmth becomes heat. The heat becomes pressure, and the pressure becomes something else entirely, something constant, something inescapable. It's not just around you anymore, it's on you, pressing down, following you, refusing to leave. Your clothes start to stick to your skin. Your breathing changes, not fast, not panicked, just heavier, like each breath now requires permission. You look around out of instinct, looking for something, anything, shade. There is none. Not a tree, not a rock, not even the illusion of relief, just open land, endless, empty. And in that moment, you realize something important. There is nowhere to hide here. You are completely exposed, and the sun knows it. You keep walking because you have no other option. Your steps slow slightly, not enough for anyone else to notice, but you feel it. Every movement now costs more. Every step feels heavier, like your body is slowly increasing the price of existence. You try to distract yourself. You look at the people around you, the experienced ones. They move differently, not faster, not stronger, just efficiently. They don't waste movement, they don't waste energy, they don't waste thought. They've done this before. Many times you haven't, and your body makes that very clear. Your throat tightens. At first it's subtle, easy to ignore, just a small dryness. You swallow. It doesn't help. You swallow again. Still nothing, and that's when you reach for your water, slowly, carefully, like it's something fragile, something important, because it is. You take a small sip. You force yourself to stop, not because you want to, but because you understand something now. This has to last. You don't know how long, and that's the problem back home. Water was automatic. You didn't think about it, you didn't measure it, you didn't respect it. Out here, you calculate it, every sip, every drop, every decision. You look at the container again, then one more time, as if checking it repeatedly might somehow change the amount inside. It doesn't, and that's when something new appears, not pain, not discomfort, something quieter, something more dangerous, uncertainty. You don't know when you'll get more, and your mind doesn't like that at all. The heat continues to build, your body sweats, and for the first time, you notice it, every drop rolling down your skin, disappearing into your clothes, gone. You wipe your forehead automatically, then pause. Because you realize what you just did. You wasted it, a small amount, but still, out here. Small losses matter, your pace slows again. This time you can't hide it from yourself. Your legs feel heavier, your steps less stable, your thoughts slightly delayed. You try to focus, but your mind doesn't respond the same way. Simple things take longer, decisions feel harder, and then something subtle happens. You stop thinking clearly, not completely, just less sharp, less aware, like your brain is slowly lowering its quality settings. You blink, your vision feels off, not blurry, just slower to adjust. You look ahead. The horizon hasn't changed, it hasn't moved closer, it hasn't become easier, it's just there, waiting, endless. And that's when a thought appears, quiet, dangerous. What if I just sit down? Just for a second, just a small break. No one would notice. No one would care. You deserve it. You've been walking for hours. You're tired. You're hot. You're not built for this. The thought grows, becomes more convincing, more reasonable, more logical, and then you look around and everything changes because no one else is stopping, not one person, not even for a moment. They keep moving, steady, consistent, uninterrupted. And that's when you understand something they already know. If you stop, you might not start again. Not because you can't, but because your body will take that moment and hold on to it, turn it into something permanent. So you don't stop. You keep walking, not because you want to, but because you're afraid of what happens if you do. And now, walking feels different. It's no longer movement, it's survival. Every step is a decision. Every second is a calculation. Every moment is something you have to actively choose to continue. And somehow, this still isn't the worst part, because the real problem hasn't fully arrived yet. Thirst is still warming up, and when it does, it doesn't ask for permission, it takes control. You keep walking. At this point, you're not really thinking about distance anymore. You're not thinking about time either. You're just moving, because stopping feels dangerous, and continuing feels inevitable. Your body has found a rhythm, not a comfortable one, not a natural one, just a rhythm that works step, 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 until something changes. It's small at first, subtle, a shift in movement, a slight slowing, voices becoming different, not louder, just less empty, more intentional. You notice it before you understand it. The caravan is slowing down, no announcement, no explanation, just a collective adjustment. And then, you see it. At first it doesn't look like much, shapes in the distance, low, still, unimpressive, but as you get closer, your brain starts to recognize it. Structure, walls, not natural, not random, human, and suddenly, your body reacts before your mind does. Energy, a small surge, hope, real physical hope, because after hours of exposure, of heat, of endless movement, you're about to step into something different, a caravanserai. You don't say the word, you don't need to, you feel it. Relief. The moment you pass through the entrance, everything changes. The air feels different, not cooler, but contained, controlled, safe, safe. That word settles into your mind. Faster than it should. You slow down, not forced, not careful, just naturally. For the first time since morning, you're not being pushed forward, you're allowed to stop. And when you do, your body immediately reminds you how tired it actually is. Your legs feel unstable. Your shoulders drop. Your breathing changes, deeper now, less controlled, more real. You sit down carefully, like someone who isn't entirely sure their body will cooperate, but it does. And for a moment, Everything is quiet, not physically. There are still voices, still movement, still life around you, but inside your head. There's silence, because for the first time all day, you're not surviving something, you're just existing, and then you hear it. Water, not imagined, not remembered, real, you turn your head, there it is. Contained, accessible, you don't rush, you want to, but something stops you. Instinct, you move toward it slowly, controlled, measured, you take a small amount. Bring it to your lips, drink. It doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel magical, it just feels right. And that's what makes it powerful. You drink again, slightly more this time, then stop, because you've learned something out there. You couldn't trust your body, and that hasn't changed. You sit again, closer to others now, not because you want to socialize, but because proximity feels safer. You look around, really look this time. People are different here, not relaxed, but less guarded, more human. You see conversations happening. Quiet, intentional, small groups forming, others breaking apart. Some people exchange goods, others exchange information. And then, you notice something else. Subtle at first, easy to ignore, but impossible once you see it. Certain people move differently, more confident, more deliberate. They're not resting, they're working. Not the kind of work you expected. They move between groups, speaking quietly, smiling at the right moments, listening more than they talk. You don't know exactly what they're doing, but you understand the outcome. Connection, distraction, escape. Because out here, people aren't just tired physically. They're tired mentally, emotionally, and when you combine exhaustion with distance, with isolation, people start looking for something, anything. That feels normal again. You watch, not judging, just observing, because let's be honest. You're in no position to participate. You look at yourself, dust covered, exhausted, barely functioning. Yes, this is definitely your peak condition. You stay where you are, because your priorities are simple now. Water, food, rest. Everything else is optional, and right now, you're barely keeping up with the essentials. Time passes, slowly but not painfully, and for a brief moment, you start to believe something. Maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe the road is hard, but manageable. Maybe you can adapt. Maybe you can survive this. And that's when it happens. A small shift, almost invisible but real. A conversation stops. Someone looks toward the entrance, then another, then another. You don't react immediately because you don't understand yet, but your body does. That same instinct from earlier, the one that notices changes. Before your mind catches up, something is wrong. You don't know what, you don't know why, but you feel it. The space hasn't changed physically, but the atmosphere has. It tightens, subtly, like something unseen just entered the room. You look toward the entrance, nothing obvious, no chaos, no noise, but the guards. They're different now, more alert, more focused, hands closer to their weapons, eyes scanning, slow, deliberate. And that's when you understand something important. Safety was temporary. This place isn't protection, it's pause, and pauses don't last. The conversations resume, but not the same way. Quieter now, more controlled. People are aware again, watching, waiting. You feel it too, that same awareness, that same tension, because out here, danger doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it just becomes present, and everyone adjusts. Without saying a word, you sit still, listening, watching, learning. Because now you understand something deeper than before. The Silk Road isn't dangerous because of the desert. It's dangerous because of people. And people are unpredictable. And just when you think the moment might pass, you hear something outside, movement not chaotic but deliberate, controlled, and suddenly, everyone knows something is coming. You don't move, not because you're calm, but because you don't know what movement would even help. The sound outside continues, soft, measured, not chaotic, which somehow makes it worse, because chaos is predictable. Chaos means panic, noise, mistakes. This feels controlled, intentional. You glance around. No one is panicking. That's the first thing you notice. No shouting, no sudden movements, just awareness. People are still, watching, listening, like this isn't new, like this has happened before. And that realization hits harder than anything else. This is normal, whatever is happening. It's part of the system. The guards shift position. Subtle but clear, they're no longer relaxed. They're ready, not aggressively, just prepared. And suddenly, you feel completely unprepared. Your mind starts racing. What's happening? Who's outside? What are they going to do? And the worst part, you don't know what role you play in any of this. Are you a target, a bystander, a liability? You don't know, and no one explains it. The entrance remains open, nothing dramatic, no sudden attack, just time stretching, longer than it should. Then, movement, figures appear, not rushing, not hiding, walking like they belong there, like they have every right to enter. They don't look like merchants. That's the first thing your brain tells you. Their posture is different, less burdened, less tired, more deliberate. They scan the space, not nervously but carefully, choosing where to look, who to look at. And suddenly, you understand. These aren't travelers. They're looking for something. Or someone. No one reacts openly, but everything changes. The conversations stop again. People avoid eye contact. Space subtly shifts. And in that moment, you realize something terrifying. No one here is going to help you. Not because they don't care, but because they can't afford to. Out here, survival is individual, even in a crowd. The figures move deeper inside. Slow, unrushed, like time belongs to them. You lower your gaze slightly, not completely, just enough to not attract attention. You don't know if that's the right move, but it feels safer than being seen. Your heartbeat changes, not louder but heavier, each beat more noticeable, more present. You try to control your breathing, you fail, because fear doesn't respond to logic. It responds to possibility. And right now, there are too many possibilities. The figures stop. Not near you, but close enough that you can hear fragments of their voices. Low, controlled, a language you still don't understand. But tone doesn't need translation. This isn't friendly. This isn't casual. This is negotiation or threat. Maybe both. Time stretches again, longer than before. Then, one of them laughs, not loudly, not aggressively, just casually, and somehow. That's worse than anything else. Because it means they're comfortable, and comfortable people aren't afraid eventually. They leave just like that. No conflict, no visible violence, just presence and absence. And yet, everything feels different now. The air is heavier, the silence thicker. Because everyone understands something you're just beginning to realize. That could have gone differently, very easily. And next time, it might. The tension slowly fades, but not completely, because once you feel something like that, it doesn't fully leave. It stays, somewhere in the background, waiting. You sit there longer than you expected, not because you want to, but because your body hasn't fully decided it's safe to move again. Eventually, night arrives, not dramatically, just gradually. The light fades, the temperature drops, and for a moment, you think this might finally be a chance to rest. You're wrong, because just as your body begins to relax, you hear it, a cough, close. You ignore it at first, then another somewhere else, then another, and another, scattered. Uncoordinated, but increasing. You glance around, people don't react strongly, which tells you something important. This isn't unusual either. And that's when a new kind of discomfort appears. Not external, internal. You feel your throat dry, you clear it just once. And suddenly, your mind connects things too quickly, too aggressively. What if? You stop the thought. immediately because you don't want the answer, but the idea is already there, out here. There is no doctor, no medicine, no solution if something spreads. It spreads. You look at the people coughing, trying to judge, trying to understand. Are they weak, sick, dangerous, or just unlucky? You don't know, and that uncertainty feels worse than the fear from before, because at least with danger, you can see it. This is invisible. You lie down again, carefully trying to rest, trying to convince your body that it's safe enough, but your mind doesn't cooperate because now you understand something you didn't fully grasp before. The danger here isn't just outside, it's everywhere, in people, in movement, in stillness, even in you. And if your body fails, the system doesn't stop, it doesn't slow down, it doesn't care. Morning comes again, too soon, too fast, and just like before, the caravan is already moving. You get up, slower this time, heavier, not just physically, mentally, because something has changed. Yesterday, you were overwhelmed. Today, you understand. This isn't temporary, this isn't a challenge. This is the reality. And the most important rule of this reality is simple. The road continues with you, or without you. Morning comes again, too quickly, too quietly, like the world never really stopped. It just dimmed for a few hours. You open your eyes, and for a brief moment, you forget where you are. Then your body reminds you, the stiffness, the dryness, the weight, and just like that, you're back. No adjustment period, no gentle return, just reality. You sit up, slower than yesterday, not because you've learned patience, but because your body no longer trusts sudden movement. You look around. The caravan is already preparing. Of course it is. It never really stops. You stand, and something feels different, not physically, mentally. Yesterday, you were reacting. Everything was new, unexpected, overwhelming. Today, you understand, not everything, but enough. Enough to know this isn't temporary. This isn't a challenge you complete and then go back to normal life. This is the system, and systems don't adapt to you. You adapt to them or you disappear. You start walking again. Same rhythm, same movement, same endless horizon, but your thoughts are different now. More focused, more honest. You stop asking, how do I make this easier? And start asking, how do I keep going? Because that's the real question, not comfort, continuation. And as you walk, a realization slowly settles in. This road isn't unique. It feels unique, but it's not, because history is full of systems like this. Different places, different rules, different environments, same principle. You are placed inside something larger than you and expected to survive it. And the people who succeed, they're not always the strongest, not always the smartest, not even the most prepared. They're the ones who understand the system, who adapt to it, who learn its rules without being told, and then use those rules to their advantage. And as that thought forms, the world around you begins to fade, not physically. You're still walking, still moving, still part of the caravan, but your focus shifts from the road to the idea, because once you understand systems, you start seeing them everywhere, even in places that look completely different, even in places that feel comfortable, civilized, safe, and nowhere proves that better than power, because power is its own kind of Silk Road. No desert, no endless walking, but the same rules, movement, pressure, risk. And just like the road, it doesn't stop for anyone, and suddenly, you're not walking anymore. The heat fades, the dust disappears, the silence changes, and when you open your eyes again, you're somewhere else. Stone walls, tall, cold, light filtering through narrow windows, controlled. Voices echo differently here, not loud but sharp, precise, measured. You're not outside anymore. You're inside a court. A place where survival doesn't look like survival, but it is, because here, you don't lose to heat, you don't lose to thirst, you lose to perception, to influence, to decisions made quietly. That change everything, and in this world, there's one person who understands that better than anyone else. Her name is Alina of Aquitaine. And if you think the Silk Road was unforgiving, you haven't seen what power does to people. You don't wake up on the ground here. You wake up in a bed, soft, warm, comfortable, and yet your body is still tense, because comfort doesn't mean safety. Not here. You sit up, slowly, not from pain, but from awareness, because every movement can be seen, every action can be interpreted, every detail can be remembered. You're surrounded by people, but not the kind you can trust, not the kind who help you survive, the kind who watch, the kind who listen, the kind who wait, because here, survival isn't physical, it's strategic, and the rules, they're not written down. You have to learn them fast, or you don't last. You walk through the halls, every step controlled, every expression managed, because out here, you could show exhaustion, weakness, fear, and people would ignore it. Here, they use it, and Alina knows this. She doesn't react quickly. She doesn't speak unnecessarily. She watches, listens, understands, because power isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one people can't ignore and can't predict. You observe her, the way she moves, the way she speaks, the way others respond to her. Some respect, some fear, some both, because in this system, reputation is survival. Lose it, and everything else follows. And just like the Silk Road, there's no pause button, no moment where things slow down and give you time to recover. Everything is happening at once. Decisions, alliances, betrayals, quiet, subtle, constant, and if you fall behind, no one waits. Not here, not anywhere. And that's when it becomes clear. It doesn't matter where you are, desert, court, empire. The system is always there, and it always asks the same question. Can you keep up? At first, it doesn't feel dangerous. That's what makes it dangerous. There's no heat pressing down on you, no thirst tightening your throat, no endless road forcing you forward. There's comfort here. Soft beds, stone walls, controlled spaces. Everything feels stable, but stability can be misleading, because here, nothing moves on the surface, but everything moves underneath. You walk through the court again, same halls, same faces, but something feels different, not obvious, just slightly off. A glance that lingers longer than it should, a conversation that stops when you get closer, a smile that feels rehearsed, and that's when you understand something Alina already knows. Change doesn't announce itself here. It builds quietly, until it's too late to react. You watch her more closely now. She's careful, more than before, every word measured, every reaction controlled, because she sees it too, the shift. And when you start noticing shifts like that, there's only one question that matters. Is it about you, or are you just standing too close to it? Time moves differently here, not slower, more compressed, because so much happens without being seen. Alliances form, quietly. A few conversations, a few shared interests, nothing obvious but enough to change the balance. And balance is everything. You notice who stands with who speaks more often, who speaks less, who suddenly becomes important, and who slowly disappears, not physically. They're still there, but their presence fades. Less attention, less influence, less relevance. And that's the real danger, not being attacked, not being removed, just being ignored. Because once that happens, you're already gone. Alina understands this. She doesn't chase attention, she controls it. She positions herself where it matters, where decisions happen, where influence exists. But even that has limits, because power isn't something you hold alone. It depends on others, on loyalty, on agreement, on perception. And perception changes slowly, then all at once. You feel it before you see it. That same instinct from the road, the one that tells you something is wrong before you can explain why. Conversations shift, not dramatically, just slightly, enough to notice, enough to matter. People who once supported her now hesitate, not openly, but subtly. And hesitation is the beginning of distance. You watch closely, trying to understand, trying to predict. But that's the problem, you can't, because you don't see everything. You only see what's allowed to be seen. And the real decisions, they happen elsewhere, behind closed doors, in quiet conversations, in moments you're not part of, and that's when it becomes clear. Control here is an illusion. You can influence, you can guide, but you can't control everything. And when the balance shifts far enough, even the strongest position can collapse. It doesn't happen in one moment. There's no dramatic scene. No sudden betrayal, just accumulation, small changes, small decisions, small shifts, until one day the outcome is already decided, and all that's left is to realize it. You see it in her now. Not fear, not panic, recognition. She understands what's happening, and more importantly, she understands what can't be stopped, because here, just like the Silk Road, the system moves forward, with you, or without you, and sometimes, even if you've done everything right, it still moves on. That's the part no one tells you. Not survival, not strength, not intelligence guarantees nothing. You stand there, watching it unfold, quietly, because there's nothing else to do, and in that moment, something connects. The road, the court, different worlds, same truth. You are inside something bigger than you, and your role in it is temporary. The scene begins to fade, not abruptly, just gradually. Voices soften, walls blur, light shifts. And once again, you're somewhere else, but this time, there's no stillness, no quiet tension, no controlled environment. There's movement, fast, relentless. You're not walking, you're riding. The ground moves beneath you, hooves striking hard, rhythmic, unforgiving, wind cutting across your face, cold, sharp. There's no time to think, no time to observe, because this system doesn't slow down, it doesn't pause, it doesn't wait. You are part of it now. A different system, more efficient, more demanding, more extreme. You are a messenger. And your only purpose is speed, no rest, no delay, no failure, because this system doesn't tolerate weakness. It replaces it instantly and suddenly. Everything you experienced before makes sense, because this is what all systems become. When they are perfected, you don't remember when it started, not exactly one moment. You were standing still, observing, thinking, and now there is no stillness, only motion, constant, relentless. The horse beneath you moves fast, too fast to relax, too fast to think clearly. Every impact travels through your body. Your hands tighten around the reins, not out of control, but out of necessity, because if you lose focus, even for a moment, you fall, and falling here is not a mistake, it's an ending. The wind cuts across your face, cold, sharp, nothing like the heat of the desert, but just as unforgiving. You try to look ahead, but the landscape moves too quickly, blurring. There is no horizon to follow, no slow progression, only distance being erased. As fast as possible, you don't ask where you're going. That's not your role. You don't ask why. That's not your decision. You carry something important. You don't know what it is. You don't need to, because in this system, you are not the purpose, you are the function and functions. Don't question, they perform. The horse slows, not gradually, immediately. A station, you barely have time to process it. Hands grab the reins, voices shout, fast, efficient. Another horse is brought forward. You dismount, or at least, you try to. Your legs hesitate, not because you want them to, but because they don't fully respond. You've been riding too long, too hard, without rest, without pause, but none of that matters, because before you can even think about it, you're pushed forward again, onto the next horse. The exchange takes seconds, not minutes. Not enough time to recover, just enough time to continue, and then you're moving again, faster, because now you understand, this isn't travel, this is speed engineered, a system designed to move information across impossible distances, in impossible time, and you are the connection between those points. Nothing more, nothing less. Hours pass, or maybe it's minutes. Time doesn't feel real anymore. It stretches, collapses, becomes irrelevant. Your body starts to fade, not disappear, just withdraw, less sensation, less awareness. Your hands grip automatically. Your posture adjusts without thought. You're no longer deciding to ride. You're just riding, because the system has taken over. And this is where everything becomes clear. The Silk Road forced you to endure. The court forced you to adapt, but this removes you entirely. There is no you here, only movement, only function, only continuation, another station, another exchange, another push forward, no rest, no recognition, no acknowledgement. You begin to understand something deeper than before. This system works because it doesn't depend on individuals, it replaces them instantly, seamlessly, without hesitation. And that's why it's powerful, because it doesn't slow down, not for pain, not for exhaustion, not for failure. It continues, always, and suddenly, everything connects. The desert, the court, this, different environments, different rules, different challenges, same truth. You were never meant to control the system. You were meant to survive inside it, for as long as you could. And maybe that's enough. The horse slows again, but this time something feels different, not the movement, not the environment. You're aware again more than before, not of the system, but of yourself, your breathing, your grip, your thoughts, because for the first time, you're not just reacting, you're observing, and you realize something simple. You're still here, not because the system helped you, not because it was fair, not because you were the best, but because you didn't stop, even when stopping felt easier, even when stopping felt deserved, even when stopping felt logical. You kept going, and in systems like this, that's the only thing that matters. The movement slows, then stops completely. No urgency, no pressure, just stillness, real stillness. For the first time in a long time, you sit there, not moving, not thinking, just existing, and slowly, everything fades. The sound of hooves, the wind, the tension, until there's nothing left, just you, and a quiet realization you made it through, not perfectly, not comfortably, but completely. And when you open your eyes again, you're back, your room, your space, your life, everything familiar, everything normal, and for a moment, it feels different, because now you know something you didn't know before. Comfort is not guaranteed, stability is not permanent, and every system you live in has its own version of the road, the pressure, the expectations, the movement that never really stops. But now, you see it, and when you can see it, you can navigate it better than before. Maybe not perfectly, but intentionally, and that changes everything. So next time life feels overwhelming, unfair, too fast, too demanding, remember this. You've already been through worse, you just didn't realize it, and you made it. So you can make it again, just don't stop.